Hi.
Hi, everybody. This is Chatting with the Stars. And we are here on Saturday. We're here June 26th, 2021. I am Sandy Rueve with Intention Beads, along with,
Hi, Susan Gidel, um, sitting here in rainy Chicago. Um, and I'm a financial astrologer. And so we're going to go through the last few days of June and then get into July. That we were just talking seems kind of a downer overall. There's a lot of hard aspects coming up in July. Um,
yeah, this is kind of like a July jolt, right?
Good. That's a good. That's a good
I
thing.
don't want to give Debbie, all the Debbies out there, the last name that they've often, they may not be the Debbie Downers, but we'll give it the July Jolt.
Yeah.
Um, hey, so as everybody gathers here, I'm in Evanston, Illinois. And where are you from? Who's here? Chime in. We can see the chat box. They made sure that I can see it. Now remember, I have this, my right eye to your left looks very, very attractive. And this one sees better than this one. I got a new lens put in this one. So that's why my eyes might look a little weird, but I can see it better here.
Mhm.
But tell us where you're from, coming in. Is anybody here? While everybody is arranging and getting their coffee and opening their eyes on a Saturday morning, Susan and I have been doing this for years and years. I don't even remember, maybe 5 or 6, I don't know.
Five, maybe. Yeah.
But just this year, Alex has asked us, Susan and I, to up our game. And so Corey's here from Oregon. Hi, Corey. And she's asked us to do this cheat sheet. Now, this month it's 6 pages this month, right? This is a $10 investment that you have every aspect, all the transits that are going on this month. And then something that I say about it, something Susan says about it, and then an area for notes that you can join in on these live calls once a month as we forecast the next upcoming month. And write in, and then get another pen or pencil color and write in what is actually happening. Put this in your calendar so that you're actually working with the energy and understanding. This is going to not be a super easy month. Anyway, we got Lee Ann coming from Chicago, Ashley, Nashville, Michelle, hey, Corey's here, and Vicky is here. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Well, yep. What do you got to say?
Well, and I think you're right, Sandy. I mean, certainly you and I do this. We put these transits in our calendars so we kind of know what the energy of the day is. Um, and um, it certainly affects all of us. These are not your personal transits. These are the mundane, what we call mundane transits. And that doesn't mean they're boring, mundane. It took me a really long time to figure that out. I didn't know what they meant when they said
It's
mundane.
actually a section of astrology.
Yeah, it's called mundane astrology. And I'm like, okay, but astrology isn't boring. Anyway. Uh, so mundane transits mean that they affect all of us and all of the world. And so I find it really fascinating, particularly when I'm watching how markets behave, because to me, the market, the stock market in particular, is the congregation of how we make decisions about how we're feeling, which comes from the mundane transits. And so I find it really interesting to watch the news and to see how the news fits into the transit of the day. Um, and you'd be surprised when you start paying attention, you'll go, well, yeah, of course. Of
Well,
course it happened then.
and particularly, we've got a little, kind of a sad, shocking example of something that has come in just recently that is about to happen this weekend that showed up, and things can show up a little bit
Oh, yeah.
earlier or a little bit later. I mean, it is the cosmic calendar to our earthly calendar, it could be off just, a couple of days or a week or so. So one of the things we're going to talk about has come in just about 11 days before an actual hit that we'll talk about a little bit. Hey, Amy. Hey, Jane. So let's start with where we are today. How about that?
Yeah.
Actually, this has been an incredibly busy week. I haven't been on my Instagram posts like I normally am because I have, post surgery and can't see very well, and I'm getting better and better. But, kind of one of the things I wanted to mention is, don't forget the cheat sheet that's still available. Alex will put that in the link right now because you can still hurry and purchase it. Get it to your printer. Get it off your printer before we're even before we're even halfway done of the month. So you can catch us on that. So that's pretty good. Okay, I see somebody just did. Got the little ding. Got to turn that off. So let's talk about today, Saturday, June 26, 2021. And by the time midnight rolls around tonight, Venus moves out of the sign of Cancer, where she likes to be. She has some dignity in Cancer. It's this femininity in a feminine sign, a nocturnal sign of Cancer, now moves into a fire fixed sign of Leo. And, I'm going to say my piece here. I don't know that this is so good for her. She's bumping into Mars. Right now, I know Venus and Mars, they do the friction. That's the male-female connection. But her nature doesn't have a very strong continence here. So there is a portion of her that can be proud, can be courageous, can influence her loyalty and to stand in that Leo leadership. But she's going to have a little bit of trouble with Mars there. So I call this, does strife befall her? What do you have for this date?
Well, I just think it's, I will say it always, Venus to me means money. And so to move into Leo, I think you can be bolder, more showy with your money. So I think that's kind of a good thing for Venus, is to have that courage to stand up and do what you want with it.
Yeah, I know, I agree. I like that she goes into Leo, but when I look at, she's going to be coming up this month and hitting Mars. And we're going to talk about this big month trigger. She's also coming up to this trigger of what we're about to talk about here in the next day, actually, the next transit that we're having. So that kind of ends our month of June, which is basically today. I know it's not the end of the month, but there's nothing really big going on the rest of this month. So let's pop into, and before we show the slide, this is our chart of the month. We always show one chart now, which is another add-on that Alex is insisting we do. She is our 33-year-old boss. And we're going to get into July here. Now, let's open July with 6 ingresses. Last month I look and we had 3 ingresses. We always have ingresses. We always know, and that doesn't count the moon. We always have the sun moving into a new sign. An ingress means when a planet moves from one sign and goes into another sign, whether it's a retrograde or it's a direct motion. And if I look at June, we had 4 ingresses in June. So, that's about a typical 3 to 4 is about a typical movement. This month is 6. So there's a lot of shifts going on in July, which, July jolt. So before we show the slide, you want to talk about Thursday, July 1st? This is, we could start the month off with this jolt.
I think we could show the chart and then talk about both of them at the same time.
This is my conflict day. And, I always have one conflict day, one astro interesting day, and then my favorite day. right? And then you have your favorite day.
Yeah.
This month, I literally had to come up with conflict part 1, conflict part 2. There's 2, and they're back-to-back transits.
Mhm.
So this chart will explain it all. Alex, show us. This is July 1st. This is at 8:08 a.m. And of course, this is Central Time. This is Chicago. And when this transit is happening at the exact moment, we have got Mars at 12 degrees of Leo, coming up right over the horizon. So he's incredibly strong here, making the opposition to Saturn at 12 degrees of Aquarius. And we see that 1220, and we go across and we see the 1220. This means this is the exact hit. Now we're going to get one exact hit. It is at this time. But we also go up and look at the square to Uranus at 13. Now, this Mars opposes Saturn, and by the 3rd, Saturday, it moves enough 1 degree and makes that square to Uranus. So Mars is hot. Saturn is cold. Saturn wants stability. Mars wants movement, action. So this is opposition. So I title this, Do I Go or Do I Stay? So they're equally strong, even though Saturn is retrograde, he's in his domicile, and Mars is in a fire sign. Mars likes being in a fire sign. So this is a trigger. Mars is pushing buttons, and Saturn seems to be stepping aside, letting Mars do its work, like stepping away and letting Mars get through. So, express your own manner in your own space, maybe doing it alone, because this can aggravate a stable a relationship or an established structure. This can upset it.
And to me, the 1st through the 3rd are all kind of the same. Even though to be exact, we talk about on the 1st, Mars being exactly opposite Saturn, and then on July 3rd, Mars keeps moving forward and comes into an exact square with Uranus. Now, but when we look at the chart as a whole, this T square, what we call it, when there's an opposition and then the opposition and then another planet that is square to both sides of the opposition, that's a T square. This T square is in effect both of those days. I mean, it's already showing, we think. Um, but so you have to look at the whole package of the first few days of July as being all of this all at the same time, even though the exactness is on different days. So as a whole, for me, it's about, like you said, Sandy, it's being disruptive. Um, you know, and maybe making Mars wants to move forward with the plan and Saturn wants it to be planned, but Saturn's retrograde. So, like you said, okay, Mars, you go ahead and make that change. Um, but and make a structural change because it's Saturn. But then you throw in Uranus and it could be completely different. Uranus is the co-ruler of the sign that Saturn is in, and Saturn's considered the ruler. So, and the whole year, this Saturn Uranus square is the big transit for the year. And so here comes Mars to kind of get in on the action of that in the first part of July. So it's about making change, and it's about actually making the change, not just talking about it, not feeling that, oh yeah, we should do something. Here comes Mars that says, okay, time to do it. And we were talking before we got on, we kind of think maybe this T square energy had some influence in that horrible building collapse in Florida, where there is sudden structural change that occurred, and a full moon. So Um, if so, then that's an example of how this big mundane energy, Mars, Saturn, Uranus, T-square, can manifest.
You have to look around, even in your personal life, and on the news, is what structure is, collapsing? What structure is moving? What
Mhm.
structure is suddenly in a disruption, a chaotic debris? We use those words for a Uranus, right? That wants to blow up. It's that lightning bolt. It's um, that sudden, unexpected power surge, if you will. Which, then if I'm, walking this through to Saturday on the 3rd, we'll keep this up, Alex, is that Mars now makes that exact, even though I agree, it's all together. But now the Mars is triggering the Uranus exactly. And, I wrote here, keep your bags packed, because there's a change occurs. So this is all happening at the same Thursday, Friday, Saturday, even Sunday. I mean, we're going to be looking at this. This gets triggered later by Venus. We see Venus at 5 degrees of Leo. Venus is going to come and trigger this T-square. The moon is going to come around and hit Uranus. It's going to hit Mars. It's going to hit Venus. It's going to hit Saturn. It's going to make another, the moon is our timer because the moon moves around once a month. But this is my conflict day part 2, where we need to move swiftly. There's accumulated anger that needs to be directed. It needs to go somewhere. You don't want it within you. You don't want to have, I don't know, irritable bowel syndrome, something. You need to express it somehow. And who are you going to direct that at? Be careful who you direct that at.
Yeah.
One of my suggestions in the podcast that we just that will go out on Monday, and by the way, this podcast is called Astrological Intentions. It's free. It's me and Alex doing every Monday for the last, my God, we're almost at 3 years, is to go into water, go into your sink, go into your bathtub, your pool, and splash water. And it can kind of like dissipate some of that energy, and you may end up laughing. Just something that you're taking a calm waterfront and using that energy, something, hitting a pillow, something, screaming, dancing, laughing till you cry, that kind of thing. You got to get this energy out. Otherwise, you'll direct it at someone. I see that somebody's moving this weekend to a new city, to a new life. Be careful with carrying too much. Be careful with moving too fast. Take your time. Mars is going to want you to move, hurry up and move. So, in driving there or driving anywhere, anyone, making sure your boxes are, taped at the bottom, and that you're not piling too many things up because you think you have the strength to do that. You're going to miss a step. Something like this, right? There's going to be a change occurs.
And I think too, for me, my note on the 3rd was fireworks, and that Mars square Uranus is exact at 8:40 p.m. on Saturday night in Central Time. And that could be a night of, where you're going to go out to enjoy fireworks somewhere. I would just caution you to, there could be accidents with fireworks because of this aspect on the 4th of July weekend. And so just be really, really careful if you are doing some fireworks or being close to a fireworks show, because this aspect is no joke.
It's no joke. And one last thing about that, because it is July 4th-ish, right? That it is hitting our United States Capitol, our constitutional birthday, July 4th. So it's involved in the United States Sibley chart.
Yeah, and it's the sun of so Mars will be conjunct the sun, and Uranus is square to the US sun.
So this can have fallout throughout the year.
Yeah.
So again, no joke. We saw it with our own eyes. If you're watching that, horrible. And to the family and friends that are involved. We all are involved. All eyes and hearts and prayers are to that that Miami disaster. But this is some of the energy that we're talking about. Unfortunately, we're seeing it in live action, and we will.
Mhm.
We will. Okay, Alex, we can come off that. That's a big one. Okay.
That's the big one.
Okay, let's lighten it up a bit, maybe.
Yeah.
Even though that's the beginning of, and this is called July Jolt. Monday the 5th, we have the sun making a sextile to Uranus. Now, this is a sextile, it's an easy energy. And kind of like, have you adapted yet? Because its freedom has been established. Somehow you have let go. Hopefully you feel better. And how did the last few days liberate you? How were you able to, maybe you do Kundalini. I know someone here teaches Kundalini. So that fire breath, getting out of your body is a really, really good way to use this energy.
Mhm. And for me, this is because it's a sextile, opportunity is the key word for sextiles. Sun sextile Uranus, take the opportunity to change. Don't resist it. Kind of be proactive about what it is that you need to shake up a little bit. So Thursday, July 6th, Mercury square Neptune. Sandy, I just said ditto to what Sandy said. So you go first.
Oh, I see. This is, I write that it's the last pass. This is the third pass of 3. You know, Mercury has come out of his retrograde period. He's still in shadow, but he's about to come out of shadow like within a day of this 6th. But
Yeah.
it's making the square for the 3rd time to Neptune. So, you know, now you should know what has maybe misled you since that May 22 date, the very first pass of this Mercury square Neptune, which, you know, can kind of mean, you know, what do you believe? What's true? What is your subconscious telling you, and what are the facts telling you? Where are you now? It's the last pass. Check in with yourself, and you know, what is the accumulation of all the information that you've gotten since May 22? I mean, May 22 is a while ago, right?
Mhm.
That's right here, like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
What do you
And
believe?
I would throw in, look at the retrograde pass too on June 5. And so literally, once again, it's like, okay, this is why keeping a calendar, I think, is so interesting, with kind of just or a journal or however you do it. So when we're looking at this, you can go, oh, what was I doing around May 22? That was the first message of this. How did that reappear on June 5? Okay, now I know how to resolve it when it comes for its last pass on July 6th. So,
Yeah, and because it's Neptune is that nebulous, you know, confusing, non-clear, you know, really interesting about having a new lens put in, you know, during this time. And now I'm able to see what I couldn't see, what was cloudy, what I couldn't see before. I did choose this time to do that. That was purposeful. Susan actually helped me with that date. We looked
and,
at.
and just to let you know, we struggled really hard about the Mercury retrograde, but we decided it was a lesser evil than the other options.
Well, I didn't want to do it in July. Look at all the like
Yeah.
kerfuffle. I mean, like it's not the kerfuffle that we had in 2020, but we're going to talk about that because I think something gets re-triggered for this new variant that's the Delta variant that's coming in. All right, let's just talk a little bit about later on that day on the 6th. This Venus makes that opposition now to Saturn. Remember, we saw Venus, she just moved into Leo today. And so by the time she gets to the 6th, she's now opposing that Saturn. You can picture that in your mind on that chart. So what's worthy or worthiness or worthless, or are you lonely? Like you can get caught in the middle of a decision instead of having one made for you. Really, it's about maybe just sitting tight, not moving forward because you may start to move forward and you hit a brick wall.
And once again, just imagine the chart that we had before, and just that Venus has replaced Mars as being the highlighted planet over on the left. And think of these few days, the 6th through the 8th, as the same thing. Venus is opposite Saturn first, which is restrictions about money that may come up. And then Venus is square Uranus 2 days later, exactly, where adjusting to that financially can be really difficult, or there could be money surprises that come into play. So once again, those 3 days with Venus in that making that T square, July 6th through July 8th, is to pay attention to.
Yeah, let's go to the 8th. On the 8th is that date that I have Mercury coming out of his shadow at 25 degrees of Gemini. So out of shadow means he's now off the degrees that he had to retrace. He is now moving on to fresh new territory. So move ahead, soldier, move ahead, writer, move ahead, planner, come out from wherever you are, the coast is clear.
And I just went, phew. And now I know it's okay to buy a new computer.
Oh, right, because you've been looking at that.
Yeah. And actually, yesterday, my sister sent me a picture. She was going through some old stuff. When my mom and dad bought a new car in 1974, a Mustang 2. Really
wow,
cool.
that's pretty hot.
4-speed on the floor. It was really cool. But every one of us, my mom, my dad, me, and my sister, we all had an accident in this car on a different panel, front, back, sides. And she looked up the date for me, and they bought it when Mercury was retrograde.
Oh, I love that story. Yeah, check in. And if anybody has a Mercury retrograde story, we're asking for them on our podcast. Get that to alex@intentionbeads.com. And we'll read it on our podcast for next week. But later on the 8th, around the afternoon, 2:25 p.m., we have Venus now making that square to the Uranus. So again, it's another trigger. We'll use the word trigger when we're triggering that square angle. So this is about disruption of order as you know it. And are you able to help somebody in some way? Do you need to ask for help? It's like Venus here can assist in an individual expression of really, for me, Venus is about love and what's the word? Aesthetic, pleasing, and charm. So how can you help here? But this is a trigger to that angle again.
Yeah. Friday, July 9 is the new moon. New moon in Cancer. And Cancer is about home and family. And so take the opportunities to set intention about how you can be more loving, compassionate, nurturing to your home and family.
Yeah, this is at 18 degrees of Cancer. This happens at 8:17 p.m. This is Chicago time. We give all Chicago times. And this is about like small seeds being planted. This is not like a new moon, because moon goes void, of course, right away. And because it's in its own sign, in traditional astrology, this is what's considered combust. The moon has zero light, right, at all new moons. But because the moon is the ruler of Cancer, where this is occurring, and it's making a sextile to Uranus, that, is there some sort of, there's no light here. So it's like, is actually, you want something to happen, but surprise, nothing really does. So plant smaller seeds here. This is not like a, like to me, the best new moon of the year is the one in Aries at the zodiacal new year for astrology. So anyway, there's that new moon. Sunday the 11th, we have then Mercury moving into The next sign of Cancer is at 3:35 p.m. and literally finally shifting. Just real quick. Mercury stays on his regular travel, stays in a sign or a house for 3 weeks. Moves. He's the swift messenger. He has not left Gemini in 3 months because that's where he went retrograde. But he was compact in his domicile the entire time. He didn't go back into Taurus. He didn't go move into Cancer and come out. So that's finally shifting. And it reminds me of, like he's been collecting the information and now he's able to deliver the news about family, home, and personal emotion. This just seems like there's emotional flux going on. So, what has been collected that's finally moving, and it's like, do you talk too fast? Do you talk too much? Do you share too much? I don't know. It's like, blah, right?
And I think you have to blah in a nice way because it's Cancer. Yeah. No, it's not just talking, which is Gemini. That's just like, it comes in, it goes out through their mouth, whatever. In Cancer, it's like, okay, this is where you think to yourself, if I can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all.
Yeah. And on Monday the 12th, this is Mercury's first aspect. So hit, aspect, witness, whatever you want to call that. Mercury then trines Jupiter. That's the first new, he hasn't seen anybody new in 3 months. He's been seeing the same people in his aspects, right? And he moves out into new territory and immediately he can see that 120-degree trine to Jupiter. And here Jupiter's retrograde, but still in Pisces. So, water baby, is this good news? Be the recipient or the deliverer of this news. So what you were just saying, Susan, right? Like be emotional and inspiring with your thoughts. Maybe arrange a big, big or small family reunion. It's time to get together. Now I say that because that's what this energy is. However, I'm going to talk a little bit later about some possible triggers for this variant to pop back up in the world. So maybe a small family reunion is best.
Mm-hmm. And, this is Mercury's chance to grab hold of Jupiter's ability to make things big. And so shout from the rooftops. A good day to put out some great promo materials if you need to do that in a general kind of way. So big plans, big communications, reach, talk to as many people as you can.
So the Tuesday the 13th, Susan and I see yours as your favorite day too. I just got these out for me. So this is, well, it's, and I've thought about this since I wrote all this, right? Because it's that Venus hitting Mars at 19 degrees. And, the reason why it was my favorite is it's conjuncting my natal ascendant. So I want to see how that plays out because this is big energy at 19 Leo. Yes, it's past that trigger point, but it's still in the vicinity. Really. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And it's my favorite day because once again, when you look at the chart as a whole, it's not just Venus conjunct Mars, which is, go get what you want. But there's also the influence of the day before, the Mercury trine Jupiter, which is, a really lovely transit in terms of being able to get your message out. And Sun trine Neptune the next couple days later. That's in range, all in this same day. So it's a really nice looking chart for being able to have big plans, big visions, let everybody know about it, and move forward with what you want to achieve.
And if you compare, on your calendar and you look, this 12th, 13th, 15th, time period is 2 weeks after that whole jolt that we had at the beginning of the, so are we seeing some sort of sunshine? Are we seeing some sort of like relief or, new territory? It's It's about, what is it you want? Now, what you think you want today may not be what you want on the 12th, 13th, and 15th, right? That jolt might have changed your direction. So pay attention to that. So I agree. It's like see your next step on Thursday, the 15th with
Yeah.
that trine to Neptune. Find safety and protection. That's what I wrote. There's new territory that the sun is hitting here.
Yeah. So Saturday the 17th. Now we're back into sun.
Got a couple days of like laying in the sun.
Yeah. And then Saturday the 17th, the sun in Cancer is opposite Pluto and Capricorn. And that's like, any opposition is a tug of war. Which way do we do it? And the challenge is to find compromise. Even though neither one really gets what they want. The sun in Cancer doesn't get what it wants. Pluto and Capricorn doesn't get what it wants. But there's a power struggle between them.
Yeah, anybody that has, this is at 25 degrees of Capricorn, that's where Pluto sits, which makes sense that the opposition is sun is at 25 of Cancer. But anybody who has a birthday November 18th, this means your sun sits at 25 degrees of Capricorn. And that really is, you've been going through a transformation. And I can say a day or two on either side, November 17th through the 19th. It's a critical time to look at your life and to see what needs permanent change. Because if you are not involved in the change will be made for you. And, change that is not made to our liking or to our taste may not be what tastes good. So pay attention to that. And I just really quick, the last time this happened, where we had the sun opposing this Pluto, was at 23 degrees of Capricorn. It was in 2020. And that was November 16th birthdays. And I ask you people, what has been destroyed or vanished in your life that you're now rebuilding? That's how important this date is for it hitting your personal transits. And if you have any of those days, I can do a little plug here. Susan and I do that Chatting with the Stars, the second Wednesday of the month. It's on the website intentionbeads.com. And we do these little half-hour readings. The two of us look at your chart. We answer your questions. And you can go on and do that if that's in range for you. Okay.
So Tuesday, July 20th, Mercury sextile Uranus. So once again, sextile, opportunity. And Mercury and Uranus are like big brother, little brother, cousins. They're very related astrologically. Mercury is the quick messenger. Uranus is the online messenger. And so for me, this day was like checking out new Uranus things, social media platforms, or new to you social media platforms, where you can communicate in a new way with people.
Well, can I just say right here exactly what I wrote here, Susan, which you just did 5 minutes ago? I know there's some people on here that are doing this exactly. I wrote, how can you spin your childhood memories into a realistic happening? Mm-hmm. And you just did with that car story, yeah. Right? It has to do with Mercury.
Oh, for sure.
So, living like the Jetsons is what I like, the structures are changing. How can you live in a new way, in a new structure, having a glass ceiling so that you can always keep your eyes on the stars. That's one of my thoughts of how I want new structure, the new structure that I live in. Mm-hmm. Okay. Wednesday, the 21st. Now Venus is moving out of Leo and moves into the next sign of Virgo and into her fall, literally fall. And the reason why it's fall, because she's exalted in the opposite sign of Virgo, which is Pisces. So when she goes into that opposite of any planet goes into the opposite of their exaltation, they go into their fall. So she has very little dignity here. I mean, she has got bounds and decan here. Oh, sorry, no, wait, I'm on the wrong page here. So it's not so good for the lovey-dovey moments. They don't act like you imagine. In fact, maybe now is the time that you can correct the correction phase of anything that you don't love. This will give you about a 3-week, 4-week period to correct anything you don't just love.
And from a financial perspective, Venus in Virgo just says it's time to be really practical with your money, to spend it in ways that are useful, not necessarily fun like it was in Leo. But in Virgo now, it's like, oh yeah, I need a budget. Okay, fine. Um, I, this is what I need to spend money on. It's not what I want to spend money on. And to emphasize that Venus in Virgo is in its fall, the way I learned to fall was to think of it is like the planet is homeless. It just doesn't know what to do. This is not natural. I'm just like at wit's end. I'm
And
hopeless.
and you know how Ben Dykes, who one of my mentors, love him. He's a translator of Greek and Persian and all kinds of Arabic languages, and takes the old texts and turns it into English. Anyway, he talks about fall as literally falling on your face or falling down the well.
Mhm.
They used to have wells, and that you would go in and you would fall in the well.
Yeah.
That's a really good way, because on Thursday, the 22nd, we have Venus now making that opposition to Jupiter. So really, when you talk about watch your money, like here is, it's like this opposition. It's about over anticipating, but getting less than what you wanted, right? So it's like, do you spend too much money, right? Because these are the two benefics, but they're in opposition, and Venus doesn't have the proper, she just fell down the well. It's like, does Jupiter throw her a lifeline to, his friend? Is there a magic hope rope, that can attain what was last? What do you ask for? Is what you need, or what you need to survive, like what you want or what you need. I guess that's really,
And Jupiter might throw the rope, but Jupiter's retrograde.
yeah,
So maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. It's on vacation. It's
it's
like,
it's on cigarette break.
yeah. So it's just
Yeah.
hard. Um, my note in the cheat sheet is that money, Venus, excesses, Jupiter are difficult because they're in opposition. And that can be that you've had to spend too much on fixing your air conditioning or whatever. And that's hard to budget for. It's like it was an unexpected expense. Venus was square Uranus. Or you spent too much money when Venus was in Leo and now the bills are coming. You're like, oh crap, how am I going to pay for that?
Yeah, I'm off my budget.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it like, do I really need this to survive? There are things you need to survive, absolutely. But these might be the questions you ask right around here.
Yeah.
And that later that day, or that morning actually, at 9:26 a.m., the sun moves into Leo. And the sun it has vitality, it has a life source. The sun is the ruler of Leo. So once again, you can be refueled. So happy birthday, Leos. It's sunny and bright. And in fact, is it too hot? Right? This could be a heat wave period. I mean, we're going through a cold wave, a cold, rainy, like a 2-week solid, nonstop 60 to 70 degree weather here in Chicago. Rain is on the forecast, on my whole weather forecast, until the last day, which was Sunday, like
Yeah.
next Sunday. And it's
Yeah.
been like that for 2 weeks. So anyway, it just is, I anticipate heat coming in, and like fires. We're going into the hot part of the of the season.
Mhm.
Okay.
And just to let you all know that there's a typo on the cheat sheet. The sun does move at 9:26 a.m. The cheat sheet says p.m. So
Oh,
just make
thank
that change. And also know that when the sun moves into Leo, its own sign, that is halfway through the astrological year. We're halfway between March 20th this year and March 20th of next year. And um, that's an important day market wise for a potential nebulous change of trend. Um, and that can be widely interpreted depending on how you look at it. So just be aware of that in the markets.
How are we doing on time? I think we're doing good because we better get going because a lot's happening in this last week.
Yeah.
We go into Friday, the 23rd. We go into a full moon. Happens at 1 degrees of the moon is at 1 degrees of Aquarius at 9:37 p.m. Is that on here? That's not on here, but
Yeah.
where is that? Where are we here?
It's
Oh,
in the little purple circle.
oh, there it is. I missed it. And I don't know. This is another trigger to that because the moon is conjunct Saturn here.
Mhm.
So the moon is moving will conjunct Saturn, and that's going to be triggering this whole square of that Saturn Uranus again. So, to me, it's like balance is required. There's more boundaries. There's more limitations. We'll see that as that we get to the planet Jupiter moving back into Aquarius the following week. So this is like personal gratification versus what other people need, what the humanity needs, like the social groupings. So to me, this is not my favorite full moon. I mean, like really, full moons I used to work at the emergency room in the hospital for 26 years. They are active periods where there is nowhere to hide. And
Yeah.
so emotions are on full screen.
Mhm. And I always like to think of full moons as being a spotlight where there's a lot of light, literally, to shine on something. And with the moon in Aquarius, I think that says put a spotlight on your own uniqueness and capabilities.
Saturday, the 24th, we have Mercury making a trine to retrograde Neptune. Tell your story now. Be bold with your ability to live in your mystical world. Mercury is coming up before the sun. So this means that this is an Oriental Mercury, and Mercury wants to get up and move out and be a little bit bolder. Because in about a day or two, he will move into a combustion with the sun, and you won't be heard. So this is a good day, the 24th, to make an announcement. Get your podcast out there. Get your new messaging out. Okay.
Mhm. And always like to think of Neptune as being able to let us see more, to be more spiritual, to be more our ideal self. And so Mercury trine Neptune says, go ahead, tell the world about that. Express your own uniqueness, your own self, your own vision for what the ideal world would look like. Talk about that, express it.
Sunday, the 25th, Mercury now is making that opposition to Pluto. No cringing. You can still feel that you did a good job. However, sit on your hands so you don't push buttons. So that you normally like you're going to wait here. There's like a pause here. But when I say sit on your hands, it means like don't do anything silly or inappropriate.
Mm-hmm. Because to me, the Pluto and Mercury, Pluto's about hidden things and Mercury is about telling them. And so Mercury opposite Pluto could be when secrets come up. So you could sit on your hands so you don't spill the beans about something you aren't supposed to spill the beans about.
Right, because you can't sit on your tongue, right? Or you
Right.
can't sit on your mouth.
Right.
All right, Tuesday the 26th. This is now Mercury is moving into Leo at around 8 p.m. And I called this practice in the mirror. Practice in the mirror. Talk to yourself. Talk into yourself. And this also has that revelation of what we just talked about the day before, about like sitting on your hands, like there's something, secrets being revealed, something, there's investigative work that either needs to be done or has done, and there's more questions, but it's almost like wait. So, this time use your hands and all your facial expressions. And how does it look? How much do you like to be a little bit dramatic, because it's in the sign of Leo, which is dramatized. Now, Mercury is combust here, and it's only a few days away from Kazimi. So it's best when you're acting happy and childlike, because the sun is in Leo. It's the ruler. So it welcomes Mercury into his home where it's not too shabby, but still is combust.
Mhm. And, from the day before, in the opposition with Pluto about secrets, when Mercury moves into Leo, they could really spill, really come out then. Because, when I said Mercury in Cancer was like, okay, well, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. Mercury in Leo is like, okay, well, tell us what you really think. Because there's like no holds barred with Mercury in Leo.
And just to your point, Susan, you could embellish it a little bit. So whatever you have to say might end up being a little bit more gossipy and worth retelling, in the post office.
Yeah.
And then when it gets back to you, it's not at all anything you had said. So be careful of adding to the story to make it more, vivacious,
Mhm.
gregarious, right?
In that when Mercury is trine Neptune, it would be really easy to do that too. So
So that whole kind of period, like, be careful
yeah.
here.
Mhm.
Okay, Wednesday the 28th. We're coming to the end, Alex. We only have 2 more days to talk about, and we have 8 minutes. All right, I want to pause here though and spend some time. Wednesday the 28th, we can know that Jupiter's retrograde. He ingresses back into the sign of Aquarius, where he has been co-present with Saturn. And not only is Saturn co-present there, but he is the ruler of Aquarius. And, I'll be back, right? Because Jupiter has unfinished business to take care of in Aquarius. He was doing work, moved into Pisces. Hey, here's a little hope. Here's a little reprieve. Here's a little good ocean water. Stick your feet in. It feels good. It's cool. It's relaxing. It's hopeful. Now I'm going back. And now he's out of the water and he's into the fixed air sign, and he's got work to do. And he runs into, he doesn't conjoin, but he's in co-present with Saturn. So there's something about boundaries here. There's something about limitations. And is this the period where the Delta variant has really shown up, and we're now finding more limitations in that, Jupiter opened things up around the country and around the world and around our communities. Is this when Jupiter goes back in? Is there more mask mandate? Is there more limitations? So we'll see how that moves, but it's not as hopeful. Now, Jupiter will be back in Pisces at the end of the year. And any of you that took that Pisces talisman, Jupiter and Pisces talisman ceremony, use that through this period to hold on to your dream, your hope, your wish, because it'll come back through. And if anybody wasn't able to come on, I have made some extra pieces for that, and you can get that all your transits. It's about a 4-page that is specific to you. That's available on the website. If you need to hold on to something, I only have about 7 pieces remaining, because this is the time when you need to go backwards, sit in some sort of stuck motion, before you can get back out again. What is
And
your take?
Jupiter moving back into Aquarius, so Jupiter and Saturn are back in Aquarius like they were when they kicked off the air economy at the winter solstice last December. And so Jupiter retrograde again in Aquarius, to me says it's time for a review of air economy things, of technology things that Aquarius rules. And actually Jupiter retrograde puts kind of a damper on the market as a whole. And particularly when Jupiter and Venus are both retrograde together. And I don't think that happens. I don't know when that happens next, but that's a particularly bad time. But just generally, Jupiter retrograde isn't great for the stock market as a whole. And it stays retrograde from the 28th of July all the way through the 18th of October. So there's a good 3 months, August, September, October, where there could be this kind of damper on top of the market, and particularly potentially in the technology arena, because it's back in Aquarius with Saturn.
And to answer your question that you asked about the Venus coming up to meet the Jupiter, they don't do that until Jupiter gets to Aries. It's crazy because Venus goes retrograde in Capricorn.
So another year and a half or two.
Well, no, it's because Jupiter goes into Aries like May of next year, super fast through Pisces. Okay. So they meet next summer, but not in Pisces. Bummer. In Aries. Oh, yeah. Anyway, a little different. Okay, we've got. Let's go to Thursday the 29th. Here we go. I call this an astro interesting. We've got Mars opposing Jupiter. Mars is in charge here. Jupiter's retrograde. He's not in a sign that he likes to be in. Mars is in bounds in face, and he holds the power over the Jupiter retrograde. Don't overstretch, but still work it. If you know what I mean, I'd wink my eye. Don't overstretch, but work it somehow.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's just the potential for, like you say, being overworked, an excess of energy, excess of things to do when Mars and Jupiter are opposite. And they have to, and once again, the goal of the opposition is to find balance. And then later that afternoon, Mars moves into Virgo. It's at its very last degree of Leo earlier in the day, moves into Virgo. And so not only is it overworked, now it's like, okay, fine, let me get down to the details of how to fix this. How do I trim it down? How do I make the detailed plan for all of this excess of work that I have going on?
Okay, here's I called it oh well, because I immediately got an image of that scene of the movie Hangover. Remember that scene after that period of fun in Vegas, and that they walk through that penthouse, and it's like time to clean up the fun that you've had the last 6 weeks. Get organized, hire help. Mm-hmm. So Alex wants me to remind you, and that's the end, boom. And actually Mars sits on Regulus, which is a very powerful fixed star here on this day as well. We are doing the August, can you believe it? We'll be doing the August forecast on July 31st, again, 10 o'clock, right here again. Alex wants everyone to RSVP for the next astrology forecast. When you RSVP, then you get here to ask questions if we are able to answer them, or we're able to see your chat. That's what happens when you RSVP. Otherwise, we are live on Facebook and I think Instagram, and we can't see those people. They can just see us, and they can't see the chats where you and I and everybody here can see the chat. So Might as well, if you have a question and we can answer it, boom, throw it in.
And
Uh,
then also chatting with the stars, you mentioned it before. Wednesday, July 14, 7:30 to 9:30. We've got 4 slots of 30 minutes each open for where both of us take a look at your chart. And that's really fun.
PM. That's PM. Susan and I are working late.
Yep.
So, boom, right on time. That's it. That's a wrap for Jolt July. Buckle up. You
Be
can get
safe on the
through
4th of
this.
July weekend.
You can get through this. We know you can. You have come through worse. So see everyone where we see you.
All righty. Be safe, everybody.
All right. All right, Judy. Thank you. Good seeing you here.
Thanks.
And good luck, Corey, when you move. Yes. Take your time. All right. Bye, everybody.